Welcome, everyone, to episode 32 of Kiss Meets the Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I'm Branton Young.
Branton looking all spiffy and dressed up for this occasion.
Well, yeah, man.
It must be some kind of anniversary. What is it?
It's the anniversary of the anniversary of the anniversary. Yesterday, it was yesterday was 8 months anniversary. So for this here podcast.
Yes. So next month, the baby will be here. You know, can't believe it's almost here.
It doesn't seem like it's been 8 months.
No, it really doesn't. You know, I know this sounds cheesy, but it's like they say, time flies when you're having fun. But it really does. To me, it doesn't seem like it's that long ago that we started this thing with Chad. And, we have fun doing it every week. So that's why it flies by. We appreciate everyone that's been supporting us. Definitely keep it up. Definitely keep spreading the word. Still working on some really, really good potential guests coming up soon too. So definitely be on the lookout for that. But nothing really going on in the Kiss world this week, other than the Gene Simmons thing with supposedly trying to trademark the devil horns or that, whichever way.
Yeah.
We just wanted to kind of give our little 2 cents about this, the way people are getting in such an uproar about it, and the people that don't get it, so to speak.
Well, I have mixed emotions about it. I mean, I try to look at things from each side, but I mean, okay, it's Gene Simmons, so you sort of expect it from him. Because I guess he finally did patent the OJ a while back. He was supposed to patent the letters OJ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think he did that. I didn't hear that he did or didn't, but I know he was trying to. Then he patented the dollar sign, right?
Yeah, the dollar bag symbol. That was genius.
So the thing that I've read a lot of stuff about this current thing, and I heard a lot of different things that it's like an ancient thing, of course, depending on which version of it you're talking about. And then it's like public domain.
Yeah.
So if it's public domain, doesn't that already mean that it can't be patented? Now, I don't know the circumstances.
Well, for one, it's like you literally can't put a trademark on a physical, human thing. It's like the only thing I could see that you could trademark it is not putting that on any, like shirts or pieces of merchandise. I could kind of see that.
Yeah, which is what it's going to come down to if he's successful, because there's no way to track it other than on actual merchandise of a band that's not Kiss, in other words.
Yeah.
So he can do it if he gets the patent for it, but no one else can do it unless they give him money to do it. Is that basically what he's trying to get?
Basically, that's what it would be. This recording program is being retarded. I don't know why, and I don't know why my picture looks so dark all of a sudden. But whatever.
Yeah, it went light and then it went dark and went light again.
Yeah, you gotta love this recording program. But anyway, my point of view is I kind of don't believe that it's true. Like, I think he just did this to get that attention and get his name in the news again and get people talking and stirring the pot again. It's like, part of him may be trying to literally get this thing, copyrighted, but I just kind of believe it was just one of them things he came up with just to stir the pot again. And
well, I heard that, of course, I've read a couple different interviews that he supposedly said, and he's aware of it, like with the thumb out, it means it's the sign language for love or whatever.
Right.
He said that it's like he took it from Spider-Man, because Spider-Man does that with the thumb out. He said so he's always done it all these years as a homage to Spider-Man. Well, I always thought that he did it because he was holding the pick. Because, see, this is the way that Paul Stanley holds the pick. If you've ever paid attention, he holds it with his first finger.
Yes.
But I thought Gene holding the pick like that, where it came from, and then he originally said, "Oh, that's cool, this and that." And I don't really know if that's how it came about.
I I mean, I've always noticed that too. He's done it all these years, but you know, everybody of course brings up Dio, and but then even farther back than that, the band Coven, they're doing it on their album cover.
Well, see,
Um,
that's the vagueness that I have a problem with, is because you have this and then you have this,
yeah,
and to me that's two completely different things.
it
Now I
is.
know that you see this all the time, and this means a lot of things to a lot of people that it really doesn't mean. It's just been thrown into culture, and people just like, it's like rock and roll, and it
Exactly.
just means like anything you want it to mean.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
this is totally a different thing with your thumb out.
yeah,
I just,
that's I love you, and I always knew this from watching Superfly Jimmy Snuka back in the day. He would always do this. That's
yeah,
the first time I ever saw this. And with the metal thing, yeah, that's what it always was to me. Was metal, or even like something that's really cool. Like I don't know, say you're in a store. Like I remember when I was younger and running around the mall and stuff with friends, being stupid. And, you'd see like a real cool band thing that's in Spencer's. Someone be like, yeah, that's hell yeah, that type of thing. And
right. Slayer.
yeah, yeah, Slater. um,
So, I mean, I don't know which he's trying to patent, or if he's thinking it's all the same thing, or if he's 100% serious. I think, like you said, I agree with part of it. He's sort of partly serious about it.
really weird
I don't
camera
know
shit.
what you got, like some psychedelic things going on
Yeah, dude, I'm tripping.
inside of your head.
I don't know. It must be the
It
program
is
or
it is recording though, right?
yeah, it's recording. It must be the program or Skype that's screwing up, but whatever. As long as we don't sound like demons again like last week. uh, I want to thank whoever pointed that out too, because I did not even catch that while I was editing the show. I had no idea. I was wondering why the audio was out of sync by the end of the show, so that was when it happened. So thank you for pointing that out. That was I got a good laugh out of that.
Is the demon.
Yep, the demon. But yeah, I truly think that it's not 100% serious on his part. Again, it's another thing to get his name in the news. Again, it's a way of promotion. He's said he's got a book coming out very soon. He's doing this solo tour right now. He's eventually putting out this box set. So again, it's you keeping his name in the news, and then next thing you know, here comes the box set. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if the cover of the box set is just an image of this, or him doing that would be on. He's got shirts out right now that have that image on it with him doing this, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit if that's what shows up on the box set cover or even the new book he's putting out, whatever.
Well, and I know he would know this, but what do you actually have to do to patent something?
See, I'm not sure. I'm
I've
not.
obviously never tried.
I'm not too sure when it comes to patenting. I know a little bit about copywriting, but I know basically you have to send um, almost like an application with an image of what you're trying to patent or copyright, and basically it goes to the Library of Congress. It goes through like this approval process. I know you
So is
definitely.
that different than trademarking?
It kind of is, and it's kind of the same at the same time though. Because in a way, I think it would be more of a trademark is what he's trying to do with this, just like he did with the money bag symbol. That's more of a trademark. And um, Kiss isn't a trademark, is it? It's copyrighted, correct?
Uh, I know years ago, I remember MTV was always had that little TM at the end corner
Yeah,
of
yeah. I'm trying to
I
think
don't know.
what's.
I don't know what's considered a trademark and what's considered copyright, or if that's the same
I don't have anything new in
type of
my.
thing. Because I was always under the impression that a patent on something is something you invent. And Gene didn't invent that. But if
Right,
he's
right.
claiming to be the inventor of it, because back years ago when Dio was still alive, Sam Dunn that did the Headbangers Journey,
Mhm.
he interviewed Dio, and Dio was talking about Gene Simmons. He goes, well, Gene, he invented breathing and shoes and all that, because he knew that Gene tries to take credit for things there's already someone that took credit for it. Because he wasn't there or around or aware of it at the time, he just assumes that, oh well, I can do that.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's patenting is what he's trying to do, because I don't think that's possible with this type of thing. I think it's more of a trademark or a copyright if he even goes through with this. I still think it's just more of a little bit of a media, trolling the media a little bit and everybody else.
And it's sort of like with that OJ thing. How can he even make money off of that?
Exactly.
I don't know. Like if someone is abbreviating orange juice and it shows up on a package of orange juice, I don't know how that even
I
relevant.
mean, like, does O.J. Simpson have to pay him every time he writes his name now, or what? And what's killing me about the whole thing is you got, of course, Dio's widow is speaking up, and she's, you know, basically trashing Gene, putting him down. And then, of course, here comes Nikki Sixx out of the blue again. He's got to speak his mind about it like anybody gives a shit. And it's like, you guys, you people, of all people, you would think those two would know better to not bite the hook and go full force into this like a lot of other people were doing. So many people were just immediately jumping on, oh God, Gene, here he goes again, blah 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 blah. But a lot of us, huge fans that know better, we're all kind of sitting back laughing like that. Gene, this is exactly what Gene was trying to do, and he accomplished it. He's got everybody talking about him. He's got his name in the news. He's keeping his name and Kiss's name relevant by doing things like that.
Well,
That's
I
all.
think the type of person that Gene is for him to, he's automatically the type of person that causes controversy, if for lack of a better word, and then because he's automatically like that, and then him being who he is and has he's out in the public eye and this and that, then he's it's already escalated.
Right.
So the smallest thing, like with any famous person, the smallest thing they say is taken out of context or it's blown out of proportion. I'm not saying that's what happened with Gene, and he knows that, but at the same time, he's probably saying, well, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Right. Exactly. And obviously, it's not the first thing he said that's brought negative attention or any kind of attention. But the recent things where he did say a few things that did get him some heat in the wrong way, those have pretty much blown off now. So he comes up with this. It's not hurting anybody. It's not nothing that's going to offend anybody this time. It's, not taking anything away from nothing. And it's just a way to keep the name fresh. And I still think that in a way it's promotion, because right around the corner is going to be a new book, and he's still doing shows, and Kiss is getting ready to do more shows, and this, the box set and all that. It's whatever it is. And not to sway the subject too much, but I even heard something about Tommy posting a tweet the other day saying he was doing some recording, who knows what for, but he was doing some kind of recording. But
well, a little bit just popped in my head as far as the patent copyright thing.
mm-hmm.
You know how Gene is always like, there's videos where he does it too, but he'll do this.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's going to patent that. I don't even know what that's called. I'm sure there's not a name for it.
Yeah, trademark that. Trademark the tongue wag thing. Nobody can argue with him about that, really.
No.
There's a lot of little signature moves that he does. Not only him, Paul, Ace, Peter, they all have signature moves and things, and they can all.
The fact that they own the makeup, is that a trademark?
That is trademarked. because Peter especially, he pretty much it's kind of more of a lease is what Peter did with his, but they do technically own it now. I don't know anything about the whole details if that contract expires at any time or anything like that, or if they did end up buying it flat out to where they do own it all full time now, and it's not on lease or anything like that. But so I don't know. It's just again, a lot of people are just biting the hook, and they're all everybody's so quick to just put him on a a cross and crucify him about things that he says, and it's something as dumb as that, and people still buy into it, and they just try to find a way to villainize him for something along that line. It's like,
well, something that I just thought of with the makeup thing, like with Vinny's makeup, it has the Ankh or whatever on it, but they don't technically own that symbol. It's an Egyptian symbol and this and that. So, but they do own the makeup, so that's sort of different than any of the other makeup because it's an actual thing
right.
on its face. So I wonder, I mean, is that the reason they don't use it? Or, I mean, I know they have a bad thing with Vinny for all these years, but I mean, how would they even go about using it if they wanted to? Or does that even matter?
Well, they do own it, so if they wanted to use it, they could use it. But like you
So
said,
it's the makeup design. It's not actually what the makeup is supposed to be.
right, it's the makeup design. That's why Vinny got in trouble when he showed up to that expo wearing the makeup. He was not allowed to do that. And if they wanted to use it, they would use it. But like you said, they have bad blood with Vinny, and they pretty much don't want any kind of reminder of Vinny on the current product or anything.
So when it comes to, say, Egyptian symbols, as an example, who owns that? I wonder.
I don't think any. I mean, that's like saying who owns the alphabet.
Right. That's what I mean. So those seems to be the type of things that Gene looks for.
Right.
To patent. I mean, if he's serious about it, or whatever, trademark, whatever. Because he's under the impression, and this is true, because with the dollar sign, no one ever thought about trademarking it.
I mean, that was genius. Like all these years that you'd see that money bag symbol used in all kinds of stuff, and then one day he just happened to think, let me look into that. And
so was it the actual money bag itself, or was it just the dollar sign?
It's the money bag with the dollar sign. That's the whole design. And I think maybe he was interested in trying to buy that off of whoever owned it because he wanted to start using that. Well, then he got to looking and he's like, shit, nobody owns this thing. That's insane. He jumped right on it, and now look. I mean, it's awesome. It's on the heads of his bass, the headstocks of his bass guitars, and merchandise and whatnot. And I mean, that to me was genius. Like, I don't.
Genius.
Exactly. Genius. People could try to twist that around and badmouth him for that too all they want, because I'm sure there's people that did and probably still do, but there's a lot more things than just the money bag logo that he has rights to right now.
Well, and that sort of ties into our topic.
Yes. How Kiss is kind of influenced or changed, culture, pop culture, so to speak. Is that a good way to word it?
Yeah, I think so.
Or effects that they've had on pop culture.
Oh, if you want to go ahead and let's talk about that.
Well, I think right off the bat, the one way they've changed pop culture is obviously the amount of musicians that they've influenced over the years. I mean, a lot of us that started playing drums because of Alive and Alive 2 and playing along to those and playing the drum solos, and and there's so many very successful musicians out there now that'll tell you the same thing. They grew up playing along to those records, and I believe that we wouldn't have a lot of these bands or musicians that are out there now had it not been for the influence of Kiss. And they kind of, they're not the soul band that influenced like the metal genre, but they're definitely I'd say one of the 4 or 5 that definitely helped shape the metal genre. And I think if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have that type of music around today.
Well, I think that their influence on pop culture probably started in 1976. Would you say?
Yeah, that's what with the
like with Beth and Destroyer and all that. I think that's when it was the beginning of them being an influence, as opposed to just, oh, there's this crazy band that just quit doing anything. You know what I mean? Because
that was that was kind of when the merchandise really started coming out, and they were definitely getting out there to the kids and everything.
I mean, as far as like the look and the stage and all that, I think it was influential from day one.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as pop culture, I think it started in '76 approximately. But as far as like the Kiss logo, no one else done anything like that.
No.
And now everybody does it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things they do during the stage show over the years that so many other bands and branching out into the world of like wrestling and UFC, even like, even sports, football and stuff. They use pyro now and the big video screens. And, I was watching a clip of when they did the tour with Aerosmith, and sure enough, Aerosmith had a big curtain hanging before they played too, with their logo on it, just exactly like Kiss does. And
it's almost like that it's subconsciously bands or wrestlers or whatever has picked up on this. And I don't know the discussions they've had. It's like, oh, well, let's do this because Kiss done it. I mean, I don't think that they're technically, I'm sure there's fans out there that have said and done that because they're directly influenced by Kiss because they're a Kiss fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of it is subconsciously because it's filtered somehow through the years to where it's like, oh, well, this is what a cool rock show is.
Yeah.
This
exactly.
is, we have to do this, or let's do that. That's cool. But it all goes back, and I've said this a million times, it all goes back to Kiss. And that's the craziest part, is because a band that was around when I was a kid has influenced everything that came after that through my whole lifetime.
Right.
They were the band, my first band that I was serious about being a fan of. Everything they ever done has been around my whole life. So I've seen the gradual change in everything that's came after that. And it's really, if someone sat down and thought about it, it's no other band can say that they've done that.
Exactly.
Because you can pick any band, like you said, with wrestling and sports and everything, it's the same thing.
Yeah. With the Beatles, obviously they influenced, but really the only influence they had was musically. It wasn't anything else about them. Nobody was out there really trying to do the same type of thing they did, because that was really all it was the music influence. And, and then sometimes it's like, it almost feels like Kiss is like not really still appreciated or accepted by like media or some of these, music channels, or just in the music world in general. And then all of a sudden something, you'll see like an article come out, and all of a sudden there's just all these musicians praising them and talking about the influence and, all that kind of stuff. And then it really puts you back, like, wow, they really are that important,
It hasn't been too many years ago that they were on Rolling Stone for the cover of Rolling Stone for the very first time.
Yes.
And I think that would have never happened years ago. And as far as like when they started their reunion tour, there was so many people. Like if you watch that Second Coming DVD, there are so many people, rock stars and other rock bands, that they were as big as fan as anybody else, and they were waiting for this reunion you know, they were influenced, and it didn't matter if it was Alice in Chains or what kind of music it was. It's sort of like it's almost like the Cheap Trick song. It says, you know, you got your Kiss records
Yeah.
out. Almost like you went to anybody's house in the '70s and they had Kiss records. It was almost like a thing. It was like a staple that you had to have.
Right. Like that always seemed like a big thing to me is, you know, in the 70s, you already had a band mentioning Kiss in a song, you know, when they had only been out for what, I don't know, 3, 4 years at that time.
Probably.
And they were already having that kind of influence. I mean, it was just, and then, you know, like the Hall of Fame, that was a moment, you know, all those fans that were there and the other musicians that were there, and you see them giving that respect, and you know the emotion that Tom Morello was putting into that induction speech was amazing. Like I never knew that he was that big of a Kiss fan, and that, you know, that was another one of them things where it just really like it gives you goosebumps. It makes you feel good. 'Cause you're like, wow, you know, it really does. These guys really are that important to music and these people, even though sometimes you feel like they get, you know, blackballed a little bit by the people. But
Well, I think that the ones that doesn't like them, you know, they're what I always refer to as music snobs.
mm-hmm.
You know, that they like, well, this isn't real music, you know, because of this reason or that reason. But then listen to this or that, like Paul Stanley said in one of the he goes, you listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He goes, no, you listen to Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Right.
I always make a joke about that, but see, I like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but you know, I like everything. But I think what he was saying is they're not a serious rock band. They're just an avant-garde, experimental super group of sorts thrown together just to do it, whether it's to make money or just to have fun, whatever. And Kiss was a serious rock band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they might not appeared serious by the image because a lot of people couldn't see the music past the image.
Right.
And then people seen the image, and that's what got them into the music. So it was just a different kind of person that was a Kiss fan than these other people that were fans of these no face bands. You know, like Pink Floyd. Nobody for years knew what Pink Floyd looked like. They just listened to the music. So
yeah, and it seemed like you know, a lot of people would oh goddamn, what'd you say earlier?
about Kiss,
Yeah, it was while you were just talking there. I had something. Shit.
don't you hate that?
Yes, go on. It'll come to me.
Well, as far as like, you know, when it comes to like the pop culture thing, I hate to, you know, bring like newer artists, well, not technically new now, but like, I don't know, it's like Justin Bieber, for example, or even Miley Cyrus is a better example. You know, when she wanted to break out of that Hannah Montana thing, what did she do?
Mm-hmm.
She changed her image,
Mm-hmm.
and she made herself as outrageous as she could to get attention. And that's technically what Kiss did back in, you know, when they started, and then for the reunion, it was a whole nother second time around for that. So any band that wants to make an impact has to do what Kiss did, in a sense, to be outrageous. And now it's hard to do that because there's not too many things that, there's not too many things that shock me. No pun intended. But, I mean, what can you do? It's like they ask Alice Cooper that. He says, nothing shocking anymore. All you can do is, he said, you might be able to cut your arm off and eat it. He said, but you can only do that twice. So, and he's right. I mean, back in 73, 74, a band to come out on stage and do the stuff that Kiss was doing, looking like that's why they got kicked off of every tour, supposedly, that they couldn't be an opening act.
Right. They would blow the other act off the stage. And, you know, with Paul talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer and bands like that, you know, a lot of it is, you know, talking about, you know, they don't put on a stage show. Yeah, they're good musicians, and it's like, it's more like they just stand there and look at me play my instrument. You know, how many notes we could play, you know, and that's all cool, you know, once in a while, and, you know, bands like them and Rush and that kind of stuff. But I see what he's saying, you know, if you really want to you could just sit at home, put on the record, and get the same experience. Or a band like Kiss, you get half the experience, and you could get a feeling of what's going on when you listen to those live albums, and you can feel the energy. And then when you're there in person, it's just a whole different
Well,
experience.
and Paul had said that in an interview in one of the home videos, I think it was. He goes, unless you've not, he said, if you haven't seen the band live, you don't understand the band. You don't
Right.
understand what the band's about. And, you know, that's why that I wanted to take my girlfriend to see Kiss on this last tour, because she'd never seen them live. It's like, this might be your only chance. We have to go. I mean, not that we probably wouldn't have anyway, but that made me want to go even more so she could see him for the first time. Hopefully not the last time, but
Yeah, 100%. It's, you know, it's just a whole different, like I've always said, it's like a religious experience being at the show. I don't know. I don't even remember where I was at before we had
yeah,
that hiccup.
that's what you were saying.
Yeah, but, and, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, what would be the way that you would introduce a Kiss fan. What album would you have them listen to? What song would you listen to? You know, I can answer that, but at the same time, I think the only best way is take them to a concert, because you're not gonna win them over and give them the best experience by putting on one of the albums. Go take them to a concert. Let that be the first time they see them or even hear the music, and then see what they think after that.
Yeah, because I remember when I was, I don't know, this is probably middle school, I spent the night at this friend's house. They were having a birthday party, I guess it was. And I brought some records over, and I brought Kiss Alive. And none of those kids were into Kiss at all. And I played that, and I could tell that they had never heard it before. But I could also tell that they didn't really like it because they didn't understand, what is this? You know, because it wasn't like a top 40 type thing, I guess. And so they probably never were a Kiss fan based on that one experience. Because, like you said, if they'd went to a concert, well,
Yeah, I mean, you know, me and my friends, you know, back, you know, we'd always sit around watching, you know, band videos all the time, you know, all them different home movies. And, you know, and they weren't exactly Kiss fans either, but they knew I was. So I'd always pretty much push it on them, like, you know, hey, we'll sit and watch this Ozzy video or Pantera video, but we're going to watch this Kiss video next. Like, just at least give me that, sit through it, watch it, let me know what you think. And
like music videos or home videos.
the home videos, like, you know, say
Yeah.
like Confidential or something like that. And, you know, I got to the point where I got through a little bit, and, you know, they had a better respect for Kiss after all that, but they still weren't, you know, exactly huge fans. But it was more like I felt more comfortable and a little bit relatable to where, you know, I could listen to it, the music with them, and they knew more of the songs, and we could watch more of the videos and have a better understanding, you know, that kind of thing. It was like almost almost like trying to force, you know, the religion of Kiss onto
Right.
someone.
Well, you know, I will say that since Kiss has been through so many different styles or eras, or, you know, tried different things, there's been times where I've, you know, like made a mixtape, just a Kiss mixtape, and I'll put on the songs that I know they haven't heard, you know, that are some of the best stuff that, you know, they haven't heard. And it's like, wow, I never knew Kiss done this kind of music. I never knew they sounded like that. I would have never thought it was Kiss.
Yeah.
You know, because other than Beth, they don't hear anything else that's different than what you'd think of Rock and Roll Night, that type of stuff. So, I mean, I'm not saying everybody would like everything they've done, but I think if you're a Kiss fan, a serious Kiss fan, you'll have your opinions on certain things, but you'll like it all just because it's Kiss, really.
Exactly. You know, I was mentioning, you know, back when I used to go to the mall like every payday, and I'd buy all the CDs until I had them. You know, when I got to the point of, you know, like Elder and some of those, like at the time, I wasn't really familiar at all with any of those albums, like Elder, Unmasked. I didn't know a lot of songs, if any songs, off of those. So it was like I wasn't as excited to buy those, but it was like, well, I do have to have them because It's part of the
And you know
discography.
that was partly because we didn't know they existed, or I didn't.
Right. And at the
I
time,
had Unmasked, and back in I don't know when I had Unmasked on vinyl, but The Elder I had never owned or seen or heard. I knew the song World Without Heroes, but I didn't know what album that was on. I'd never seen the album it was on.
right.
So
And
when I
that,
seen it on CD for the very first time at Camelot Music, it was it's like I gotta have this.
and
What is?
that may have been the only song I knew at the time. Maybe I too, because of the home video that it was on. But I don't even remember if I listened to the whole album even when I bought the CD. It was just like just to have it in the collection, and at least for one or two songs that I did know. And I think it was, if I remember right, the last one I needed, because I kind of went out of order eventually, is I think it was Asylum was like the last one I needed, and my dad ended up getting it for me for Christmas. And again, it was like it wasn't that exciting because at the time it was probably my least favorite album, and I was like, oh, but it was part of the collection and I needed it. And now here we are, 20 years or whatever later, it's become one of my favorite albums by them. Like, I have way more appreciation for it than what I used to back then. Same with Dynasty and Unmasked, and the whole Dynasty album I love now. And I still remember a time when I only liked maybe 2 or 3 songs off of it. That's all I would listen to. Now I love the whole album. And
I think
Unmasked is a very listenable album too.
with me, a lot of those albums that I wasn't familiar with, over a period of time, it's like, I'll use Double Platinum as an example.
Mm.
I used to play that constantly. That was the best. That's still one of my favorite compilations.
Yes, love it.
But after a while, you sort of want to hear something else, and it's like, well, I'm not in the mood to listen to a different band. I want to listen to a different Kiss song or a different album. So I think by having those albums, you eventually will go back to them,
Yeah,
to rediscover it or to listen to it the first time if you haven't.
I agree. I love the Double Platinum. I was just listening to the Black Diamond version off of that yesterday, and I have to say I kind of like that better than the regular album version now at this point. The way it
You
was
get used
mixed.
to it.
Yeah, I like the way it was arranged by Sean Delaney, and I like a lot of those mixes on there. I like the Dr. Love mix better, and but yeah, it's
Well, see, I knew those versions as far as studio goes before I knew the original like first album versions of songs that were on the first album, because I didn't have the first album for years and years. I eventually got it on vinyl, but Double Platinum it was a double 8-track actually.
And I remember, I would be so used to listening to like a live, and then like my dad would put on, say the first album, and I'd be like, God, it sounds so slow and different, and like Deuce, like you can hear those extra, notes went din in it, and you don't hear that on the live version. It's like, what? I remember just it kind of threw me off at first, and I love those now, but I kind of prefer the live version better because it's faster, more upbeat, and a little
Well,
heavier.
I will say that there's something that Kiss has said about the Alive album. The first, actually any of their studio albums, but especially the first earlier ones, they just sound like they're recorded in a closet or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying compared to the Alive album,
Right.
you have that extra feeling that you don't have on, say, like Deuce on the first album, like you were saying. It just seems very flat and one-dimensional, and then on Alive, it's like a 3D version almost.
Right. And
So,
I still say Hotter Than Hell sounds like it should have been the first album. Just the overall, sound quality and
production,
Yeah.
the production of it, you'd think it would be, because a lot of like if you think about Nirvana's first album as opposed to their second one, it's almost like you would think Kiss would have had the second album would have been their first album would have been their second one.
Right.
But Dressed to Kill sounds really crisp and clear.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. That one and probably Rock and Roll Over
Rock and Roll.
and Dynasty are probably my three. Well, Love Gun 2 are probably my four favorite sounding produced albums. And then, but when we get into like live, it'd probably be Alive 3 and Unplugged and all that stuff. But I remember, well, I don't remember, but Hotter Than Hell, it seemed like it had.
You know,
I don't know what I was going to there, but
he wasn't around when they had that photo session for the back of the album cover.
oh yeah, you didn't see me in the picture.
That was you. I thought it was you.
But Hotter Than Hell had.
But this is you right here. That's you.
There you go.
There, that's you.
Hotter Than Hell had, I want to say, the same amount, if not maybe more, of the songs that were on the original demos before the first album. So that's another thing, is why it sounds like it should be the first album, but it's not.
Well, as far as like getting back to what like Kiss influenced pop culture, I don't know how many. It's not been too long ago, and I know you don't like Lady Gaga, but apparently she's a Kiss fan. You believe that? She posed with Kiss. I mean, of course, anybody can pose with them if they're in the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
fine,
she's very theatrical, and
well, I
know that's not. She doesn't dress like Kiss or nothing, but
well, in a way, she does in her own way, and I always thought in a way she kind of rips off Marilyn Manson too with some of the stuff she would do, and I look at that like you're just doing this shock thing for the image to make up for the shitty music that you're making.
Well, and someone else that comes to mind is like Adam Lambert. You know, he performed with Kiss on American Idol when he was on there, and he wore platforms, and he had these, I don't know, wings or whatever it was on it, and I guess he wasn't really a Kiss fan before, and so that it sort of confuses me as to, they're both theatrical in their own way. So where did they, as a kid, for example, when they grew up, who were they influenced by that was theatrical, and did that stem from Kiss? I don't mean them being a Kiss fan, but as far as what they listened to was what they were listening to, influenced by Kiss, and it just trickled down, because I think everything up to this day has trickled down from Kiss in some way.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't even a fan, why the hell did he have them with him? It's like, is he just using them to win a vote and win the whole contest or whatever? I guess he won that year, didn't he? I don't know. I don't watch that.
He came in second that year.
Well, good.
He almost won.
But yeah, it just, and I question that too, because there was that other guy that was on American Idol that had them on there with him, and then of course The Voice.
He actually was a Kiss fan.
Yeah.
He actually, him and his brother was Kiss fans, but as far as the guy on The Voice, I don't know. I never watched that, so I don't know him.
And then of course it's just so, it's almost embarrassing to watch those performances, and even like Dancing with the Stars and all. It's because it just seems so.
The thing that confuses me, and I said this, I guess it was on our last podcast, when, or I don't know if I even said it or not, but like with the Gene concert, he had a bunch of people come up and sing with him and stuff. And then there's these performances on the reality shows, I guess you'd call them, competition shows. And when they have someone come up on stage, they say that, well, that's sacred ground, and this and that. But then I could sit and think about all the different times where it hadn't been too long ago, Phil Collins came up on stage and performed with him when they were touring with Def Leppard. Yep. And he wore Paul Stanley's boots and all this kind of stuff. And then I think Joe Perry was on stage with him at one time.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick, but I mean, it's like, don't say that it's like holy ground and no one gets up on stage with Kiss and that, and then turn around and do the Voice with whoever that guy was.
Right, and don't say Kiss is not a rock band, that they're a rock brand either. That's another thing that drives me up the wall. But
Kiss equals Coca-Cola.
Oh my God, cherry Dr. Pepper.
Someone said that. They said that Gene wants Kiss to be Coca-Cola and Disney and all that, which he sort of does want that, I think. Or he
Yeah.
already thinks it is.
But the thing with doing those show or those appearances, I'm sure 80 or 90% of those people in the crowd had no idea who they were, and they're just, basically telling them to act, crazy and into it. Again, I can't remember where I left off. I was talking about the appearances they made on those shows. I believe that 80, 90% of those people were just built in. They had no idea who Kiss was. They were told how to act, and they're kind of embarrassing to watch in a way because it's just, you could tell those people don't give a damn about the music or know anything about the band, and watching the band act like that, playing and, they're damn near lip syncing. It just gets it's kind of hard to watch those appearances. That's why I don't get too
Well,
excited.
I think that, and probably a lot of bands do this, but I think in Kiss's, I think the reason they do it is because, I mean, let's be honest, records doesn't sell anymore. I mean, as far as, I don't mean vinyl records, I mean, as far as people don't make money with record sales. So
Yeah.
I think that the average teenager probably would never see Kiss or know who they are if they're not watching American Idol or The Voice or whatever show they're on. But at the same time, if an average teenager or just the average person that's not a Kiss fan, that a younger person that doesn't know who Kiss is, are they going to be a Kiss fan? I mean, like you said, if you see the live experience, it's going to be more than likely to. I mean, I question if that's the reason behind it or not.
To me, that's not a true seeing them live experience because it's so. It's like watered down. They're like I say, they're damn near either lip syncing or playing to a pre-recorded track, and it's in my opinion, one of the worst ways to introduce somebody to the band. Like, not that way. I'd rather them listen to an album or, go to a real concert, not be exposed to the band in that particular situation. That's.
Do you think Kiss should not do things like that, like altogether?
Yeah, because I don't even get excited when I hear that they're going to be on a show like that. I don't rush home to watch it or record it.
Well,
look at what happened when they did that parade a couple years ago. How much of a disaster and embarrassment that was.
I remember when they were on American Idol the first time with Adam Lambert, and I didn't know they were going to be on there. And, I was sitting there watching it because I was watching. That's when I still watched American Idol. Of course, it's not on now, but and Adam Lambert came out first, and he started singing Beth, and I'm thinking, wow, he's singing Beth. I can't believe that. And then it clicked in my head, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, here's Kiss," or whatever, and I'm thinking, no way. There's no way that Kiss is going to do American Idol. And I was just commenting before, and Keith Urban was on there, and this was before he was a judge. He was performing with one of the other contestants. I'm thinking, Keith Urban, he's on here because he's washed up and he can't do anything else. That's why he's on here. And then Kiss comes on there, and I'm eating those words because, one, it's Kiss, and two, I can't believe they're doing this. Why are they doing this? I mean, so I had so many emotions about that. It's like it's great, then it's not great. I mean,
you were screaming and crying through all that too.
Yeah, it was. I didn't know what to do.
I'm excited.
I don't know what to feel.
Yeah, I just don't get excited for that kind of appearance because I just know how it's going to turn out. Same when if they're playing on one of the late night shows, it's always the same old stuff that you can expect, and it's not exciting to me anymore. And
well, what would you prefer to see? I mean, if you had control and said, okay, we're going to do this, what would you like to see? I mean, I don't.
For one, they need to at least have them at the Super Bowl halftime show. Let it be a as close to a real Kiss concert as that could be. One of my favorite things they ever did was when they were on Mad TV. I love that episode. I love all the skits they did and everything about it.
That was good.
That to me had that I always had a little bit of that Kiss Meets the Phantom vibe from that. Just like the whole the atmosphere that had to it.
It was
Um,
almost like it was like Kiss was in charge of the whole. It was almost like the Paul Lynde special
yeah,
type thing.
and then it went right into the live show there at the Dodger Stadium. I think they only showed like the first song or two, but that was cool as hell. It's like, oh my god, I think I still have that on tape somewhere actually, but I need to find it because I haven't seen it in a long time. But yeah, I mean, have them on a bigger scale of like the Super Bowl or and just don't do these things that are set for failure. After all these years, they should know better. Doing that parade was a total embarrassment.
That's true. I guess that really the bottom fell out of that one because they were supposed to be on a different float, and because Paul doesn't play the what was it, Fender guitar or whichever guitar it was, they wouldn't let him on the float. I think it was Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson. Yeah, okay, but think of that sentence right there and how that sounds. Kiss playing on a float in a parade. That makes no sense. That's not Kiss.
Well, yeah, because back in the 70s, I mean, and I think they get that mentality from, and I don't know if this is true, but remember when they did that parade in Cadillac, Michigan?
Yeah,
that was totally different because that was for Kiss. This whole town puts this on for Kiss,
and they weren't
hoping they would show up.
And they weren't playing on the float. Guess what? They did an actual show in that school's gym, which is something I would love to see on video.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Speaking of a past topic, but all these years, and they're smart guys, they're successful businessmen, and then they make these kind of decisions to go on this parade and do that, and some of these, like the American Idols and those shows, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like, what are you doing? Like it's kind of back to that candy stuff, from like the way it was in '79 and '80, how it felt like they were losing their balls. That's kind of what I feel every time they do that kind of stuff. It's like, it's a little embarrassing, It's like, oh, that's Kiss. Like, well, it's not the full experience, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I just wonder if that's. I mean, I think Paul and Gene's pretty much in control of it. So I was getting ready to say, I wonder if that's a contractual thing. But I guess if they're in charge of it, they would decide if they're going to do it in initial or not.
I'm sure it is a contract, but they made the decision in the first place to do the contract and to go forward with that. And again, it's like, why? And they're always. They always talk about, oh, you're not hearing, pre-recorded tracks up here, blah, 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 or no singing to tape. And then what they do on that parade on top of the disaster that it already was, everything that they say they don't do. Lip sync, play to a pre-recorded track.
Well, and that's the thing. It's almost like they're saying that because they want people to believe what they're saying, because that's truly what they're doing. And,
Yeah, but you notice they never started doing it until that one show they did where Paul did sing to a pre-recorded track. I think it was when they did that Samurai Sun live.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like ever since that happened, he's had to mention that now in every concert to get that point across and try to get people to forget about it, it seems like.
Maybe that was the beginning of the end when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know, things like that. It's just, I mean, luckily they haven't tried to do nothing like that since. And I mean, obviously they've done those shows since, the voice thing was, I think, the last time they've done that kind of appearance. But
well, I remember they were on that Fashion Rocks a couple years previous to that. And I think they just did Rock and Roll All Night. I don't think they did anything else.
You're talking about that Lane Bryant show?
No, this was, it was Fashion Rocks. It had,
okay.
Duran Duran was on there, and there was like, I don't know how many groups, and I don't really know what it was. It was like just a concert, different.
Remember that thing they did years back called Rockin' the Core?
Oh yeah.
That right there was a perfect idea of something they should do. That's not, a full blown Kiss show.
Yeah, I really
Something
like
like a
that.
like a special appearance type thing. That was perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the biggest causes they're standing for. It wasn't some scaled down candy crap where people in the crowd don't know who they are or know anything about them. And, it just looks like something out of a TV show where, it's just a bunch of planted people that are told to act crazy and wild, for the hammer.
Like the I music video.
Exactly. The I music video and tons of other music videos through the years from all kinds of artists that have the live look to them, and all these people that are just going crazy. And so, um, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to kind of hit on? Because I know we're around to kind of wrap this up here soon.
I can't think of anything specifically.
Yeah.
Other than pretty much everything we've said. I think we've covered the majority of it.
Yeah. A little bit shorter show this week, but not a big deal. We actually are working on a little bit of research, getting some material together for an upcoming topic. May even be starting for next week's show. So we got that in the works, and again, we're gonna, get in touch with some of these potential guests, try to get that going, and maybe even bring a couple old faces back at some point. Would be really cool. So until then, I don't think there's anything else to mention. Again, it's been a pretty quiet week in the Kiss world, other than that Gene stuff we talked about. Let us know in the comments what you think about the whole situation. Whether you think it's legit or he's just kind of playing the troll card, and what you think about the whole situation in general. So, also, Kiss is getting ready to play the Chicago open air show here coming up in July. If anyone's going to that, let us know. That would be an excellent show to go to. I wish I could.
So, one of my coworkers said he's going. His girlfriend's dragging him along, so
oh, nice.
I'll get to talk to him after that. 'Cause he's not a Kiss fan, so it's not a good perspective.
Well, I'm sure it's going to pop up on YouTube, the whole show, or that'd be nice if they even put it out on DVD or something. But definitely looking forward to that show. So, all right. Until next week, then. That's everything. So, is it this or this?
I think it's this.
Or this. The shocker. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.